Before we begin, I would just like to thank fellow commentator Toganium for finding a bunch more pictures of my avatar, that being Rudy from Rain, for me to use. You are awesome. Anyway, let's actually get into the video that we're going to be covering. A fellow named Mystic Umbreon did a video listing what he believes to be the top 10 worst Pokemon in Pokemon Sword and Shield. This video was commentated on by a YouTuber named MelonTartVA along with NaiTaiDai, who I previously did a commentary on, and their commentary was commentated on by Umbrus. Now, the more astute of you might have realized that Umbrus's video was released over a year ago. And yeah, you're right to notice that. The video that I'm covering is NaiTaiDai's commentary on Umbrus, which was released on 4/20 Blaze It 2022. Meanwhile, Umbrus's original video was released on August 14th, 2020. NaiTaiDai had 614 days, or roughly 1 2/3 of a year, to make this commentary. Now, I want to make what I'm about to say incredibly clear. I have nothing against people covering old videos. Hell, my last commentary was on an old video. I also have nothing against people covering videos that are about them. However, I do have something against bad videos. And when a video is bad and it contains both of these factors, that honestly just makes the video come off as bitter. It also makes the video come off as incredibly frustrating when you consider the fact that he had over a year and a half to watch this video and write a script for it, and this is what he came up with. But you know what? Enough monologuing. Let's actually get into the video. I'll be skipping his summary of what's going on because I already gave you one. As well as him basically saying that he has issues with the video he's going to commentate on, which, no shit. Also, good to see that your habit of stating the obvious has not gone away since my last commentary on you.
Although, to be honest, I don't believe this will be my best received commentary of the year, and will be highly surprised if it doesn't get on Doodle's worst of list at the end of the year, even as an honorable mention.
Then why did you make it? You are quite literally saying that you think everyone is going to hate this commentary, which leads me to wonder why you thought making it would be a good idea. Hell, at least when Neko Koda did this bullshit, she clouded it with mindless screams of, "I will not be intimidated." You aren't even doing that much. You're just openly saying, everyone is going to hate this commentary. Congratulations, you are winner. That's my full response.
This isn't so much as to defend the co-op, as it is to explain the reasoning behind the points we made.
Isn't that what your original video was supposed to do? You know, explain the reasoning behind the points you're making? Also, you gotta love the distinction without a difference. So, according to Foxwell, this video was not meant to defend the video that Umbrus commentated on. It is instead meant to explain the points that he made in the video Umbrus commentated on to somebody who did not agree with them in order to explain why those points were actually correct. But that's not the same as defending the points he originally made. Where would you get that impression?
So with all that out of the way, let's begin.
So she didn't give any context except for half of the degrees. Also, this is just factually wrong. Actually going back and watching Umbrus's original video, she directly mentions that she's covering both a co-op and a Pokemon-related video.
I'm covering a co-op commentary about Pokemon.
Oh, and there's also this part during her intro where both you and your co-op partner have their names and avatars on the screen. And for that matter, there's this part just after her intro, which is present in your video, might I add, where we see the names of all of the degrees plus the avatars that they're using. Plus the fact that you and your co-op partner's names are literally in the title of the video. With all of this put together, any audience member should be able to figure out what's going on. What context is missing exactly?
Pokemon Sword and Shield, I can say are some of the most enjoyable Pokemon games I've ever played. The cast of Pokemon in these games is actually very good to me. And I can be honest, I like the majority of these Pokemon. More like literally all of them besides 10. Even with the 10 I don't like, these Pokemon aren't even the worst Pokemon I've ever seen. There are much worse Pokemon like this stupid looking thing. The majority of the Pokemon in the decks have great designs and concepts behind them. Heck, even the fossils are cleverly made despite how much Arceus hated them. But yeah, I think you guys know where I'm coming from. I'm talking about the not so great Pokemon in these games. If you haven't read the title already or haven't guessed it, I'm going to be talking about the top 10 worst Pokemon in Sword and Shield. In the past where I've made worst Pokemon lists, it got brutal for some Pokemon. I can say what I will say, won't be nice about some of these Pokemon because obviously it's a worst Pokemon list, but you won't see the amount of brutality like how I do with Electrode or Torterra. Which by the way, for all you Torterra fans out there, you guys know I'm not a huge fan of Torterra. I Torterra more than some Pokemon on this list though. It's not the worst Pokemon in the world. Anyways, enough about Torterra. Let's just get into what I think are the top 10 worst Pokemon in Sword and Shield.
We aren't even at the first point yet, and I already found an issue. This part of Umbreon's video lasted over a minute, and it could have easily been sped up to a solid 40 seconds. I don't know what editor you use, but it's safe to say that there is an option to speed up clips in there. This is just padding out your video to an obnoxious degree.
So, why didn't you fast forward?
Drawn out clips aren't real, just turn off the fucking monitor. Okay, I'll be serious now. I'm going to take a guess and assume that she did so because there was a problem that she wanted to show after the clip was done. That being the fact that a minute-long clip played out in your video without you speeding it up or doing any kind of editing on it. I'm making this assumption based off the fact that there's text on the screen at the beginning of the clip that quite literally says that. And to answer your question as to why she didn't speed it up, well, it's not her job to fix mistakes you guys make. What kind of bass-ackwards logic is that?
Oh well, I did it for you. You happy now?
I've never been happy.
Oh joy, he goes right into the list without giving any sort of criteria. Surely a good sign of things to come.
Who died and made you the queen of countdowns? Because last time I checked, you don't need criteria for a countdown.
You kinda do. Otherwise, the countdown is going to be a royally confusing mess, and the person is going to come off as if they put stuff on their list for unrelated reasons.
First off, I really enjoy your potshot towards a video I've never heard of, let alone seen, which added nothing to your video and could very well confuse any audience members who don't know what you're talking about. Second off, this is a total misrepresentation of Umbris's point. Actually listening to the original clip, she clearly doesn't say that you don't need criteria for countdowns like she wants every countdown to be postmodern. What she is instead saying is that you do not need to explicitly state what that is in the introduction specifically, especially if that criteria is already obvious.
Who died and made you the queen of countdowns? Because last time I checked, you don't need criteria for a countdown, or at least go over in the intro specifically. It is preferred, but in scenarios like this, do you really need it? From the title alone, I think everyone knows the only rules is that the Pokemon had to have originated from Sword and Shield. This shouldn't be that hard to understand.
You quite literally responded to a fragment of one sentence of Umbris's point and acted like you totally debunked her.
Speaking of Pikachu, up next is Morpeko, which I can safely say is my least favorite of the Pikachu clones. With this design, I feel Game Freak just took Pikachu's cheeks, eyes, and ears, and slapped it on with a black and brown color scheme. It looks so copy-pasted, and that's what makes me a little upset about this design. Pikachu clone design this generation could have been much better. I was expecting more of like an electric groundhog typing or something. To me, that would have been a much better idea. The typing of electric and dark was also reserved for one type of Pokemon that unfortunately didn't make it in the Sword and Shield, being Luxray. Not saying they can't give Luxray some kind of form in the future with electric and dark, but it's the premise of it should have gotten that dual typing first, rather than Morpeko.
Any citation?
Not really. He just thinks therapy with the 3D models and creates someone else's description before promoting himself.
Well, anyway, you do realize that if what you're saying is true, then that would have been a horrible idea, right? Being an electric type means Luxray only has one major weakness, ground, which isn't affected by electric moves. If it were electric dark, then it would have 4 weaknesses instead of 1. Ground, fighting, bug, and fairy. Just being mono-electric is a good thing for Luxray. Jesus, you're supposed to be a Pokemon channel, and yet a scrub like me can tell you why that would have been a bad idea.
Citation towards what? The fact he personally thinks that Luxray should have gotten a dual electric dark type in? Citations towards the typings of Morpeko? Citations towards Pepper Secret Hentai Stash? What are you talking about? Also, God, why do you commentators care so much about how well a Pokemon can survive a fucking tsunami?
Okay, this is the point that a lot of people who checked my script argued about. Yes, you could argue that a Dark-type Luxray would have the major advantage against Psychic types and Ghost types. However, it would still face 3 major weaknesses in Fairy, Fighting, and Bug-type Pokemon, as well as Ground. That is why we cared. We felt the cons outweighed the pros.
First off, this doesn't debunk anything Umbra said, that being that you were asking for citations on something that was totally subjective and that you were focusing on the Pokemon's strengths and nothing more. In fact, this is actually something you continue to do in your interjection. Actually checking Mystic Umbreon's original video, he says the reason he doesn't like this typing is because he was expecting an electric ground type instead of an electric dark type, while saying that another Pokemon, Luxray, is much more deserving of an electric dark typing than this Pokemon is.
I was expecting more of like an electric groundhog typing or something. To me, that would have been a much better idea. The typing of electric and dark was also reserved for one type of Pokemon that unfortunately didn't make it in the Sword and Shield, being Luxray. Not saying they can't give Luxray some kind of form in the future with electric and dark, but it's the premise of it should have gotten that dual typing first rather than Morpeko. Morpeko doesn't deserve this typing. I don't think this is as harsh as I have been to other Pokemon and worse Pokemon videos, so I will consider this as mild.
Oh, and as to be expected, this is something Umbris elaborates on just after you cut her off, making points like the fact that the look of Luxray more lends itself to electric dark than Morpeko does.
Also, God, why do you commentators care so much about how well a Pokemon can survive a fucking tsunami? I swear to God, like, my dude, Umbreon just said he wished Luxray got an electric dark type in. Why shouldn't he care about the fact that Luxray has more of a chance of fucking dying? It makes sense why you'd want Luxray to be electric dark. Luxray looks like he came straight out of a furry emo boy band from the 2000s. And he's black. Like Barack Obama.
For the record, I'm not even saying if I agree or disagree with Umbris on this. I'm just engaging in basic comprehension of what I'm hearing. Lastly, the fact that Pokemon would be worse off in battles doesn't actually mean as much as you think it does. Hell, maybe he as a player would like a Pokemon who is harder to win with. For example, he could personally be into challenge runs. Considering we live in an age where people are attempting to beat entire Pokemon games with nothing more than infamously bad Pokemon like Magikarp and Wobbuffet, that is certainly possible. Especially considering one of the appeals of Pokemon is that the variety of different Pokemon the player can train and use allows the player to go through the game however they want, including in ways that would be more challenging through intentionally using worse Pokemon.
Now let's hypothetically talk about the competitive scene. Ms. Magius and several Psychic types are capable of learning Dazzling Gleam, a Fairy type move that deals 80 points of damage. There are also Psychic types like Cresselia and Gardevoir that can use Moonblast. Yes, I know you can max out a Pokemon's stats, but realistically, a Dark-type Luxray would be lucky enough to live 2 attacks from a Pokemon that knows a Fairy move.
Okay, Pokemon is a rock, paper, scissors RPG where each type has its own weaknesses and strengths. Having a Pokemon that would be lucky to survive 2 moves from another Pokemon of a different type is just part of the game. And again, that could be the appeal for some players, such as the ones who do challenge runs.
Morpeko doesn't deserve this typing. I don't think this is as harsh as I have been to other Pokemon and worse Pokemon videos, so I will consider this as mild.
You can't be serious. Morpeko is bad because it has the type combination of a Pokemon you seem to prefer? What sense does that make?
But I thought you said Luxray was a mono-electric type.
Being an electric type means Luxray only has one major weakness.
What was that? Yeah, just play back what Minna was saying in response to Mystic saying that Morpeko doesn't deserve to be a dark type, without refuting what she said that it's beneficial for Luxray to be a mono-electric type.
Because that wasn't the point. The point was that your co-op partner had essentially implied that Luxray was an electric dark type, despite the fact that earlier in the video she clearly said it was a mono-electric type. Umbris wasn't trying to disprove anything that Melon was saying, she was just pointing out a contradiction in your co-op partner's wording.
Dreadnought is a Pokemon I haven't really been super fond of since the day I laid my eyes on it. At this point in time, in the Pokemon franchise, we have way too many turtle Pokemon. Turtonator was last gen, then before that Caracosta, and then Torterra. I think it's time to stop with Turtlemons for a while.
I agree. We need to stop having all these Pokemon based on the same type of animal a long time ago. Birds, fish, rodents, bugs. We certainly didn't need so many just based on one species.
Your examples actually suck. Let's just ignore that every type of Pokemon you mentioned are Pokemon that appear in every gen. They're part of the series tradition, you nonce. Plus, there are a lot of things you can do with rodents, birds, fish, and bugs.
And there are a lot of things you can do with turtles, like what we go over in our video on Mystic.
Torterra is based on the world tortoise. Caracosta is based on the soft-shelled sea turtles. Turtonator is a Matata turtle, and Dreadnought is an alligator snapper.
Oh, look at that. Concepts for a Pokemon based on turtles and tortoises. But, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just a big dumb idiot for responding to Mystic in a joking manner.
Here's the issue. This comparison does not make any sense because you're basically comparing 0 to 1 million. There are 10,400 species of birds, 32,000 species of fish, 1,500 species of rodents, and 900,000 species of insects, compared to only 350 species of turtles. So, logically, Game Freak would run out of ideas for Pokemon based off of turtles much faster than they would Pokemon based on any of the other things you listed. That's also ignoring the fact that there's a greater amount of diversity among the appearances of all of these species than there is for turtles, therefore allowing a larger amount of design variation while still being based off of those species. The lack of diversity would also mean that the audience would likely get sick of Pokemon based off of turtles faster than they would Pokemon of any of the other kinds you listed.
I can also say Thwackey looks like it got rejected from Madagascar too. I guess he couldn't just move it all that great. I can see why too, moving around in a costume must be hard, especially with 2 sticks in its hand.
Oh yeah, I can totally see it. Never mind that Thwackey's green and has more of an anime aesthetic.
Are jokes just some medieval concept to you? Who gives a sudden rat's piss if Thwackey has an anime aesthetic? What does that change? Umbreon's joke was that it looked like a Madagascar reject.
Thwackey is green and drawn to have an anime-inspired look. The cast of Madagascar are drawn in a Western style and have the coloration of actual animals. Thwackey would stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah, it's a joke, but that doesn't mean it can't be criticized.
Do you know what similes are by any chance? Because I really don't think you do. Also, Mystic Umbreon was most likely basing this comparison off of the tropical aesthetic the Pokemon gave off. You know, considering Madagascar is a tropical island. This is backed up by the fact that Mystic Umbreon specifically said that he would like the Pokemon more if it were from Alola. Alola being based off of the tropical island of Hawaii.
Place. What the fuck?
Hey, remember this? What are TRs and where do you get them anyway?
Don't derail my fucking point!
Thanks, I didn't need my ears anyway.
No, I don't actually, because you skipped that part originally.
This would be where we end the video, but we have Umbrus's final thoughts to go over. Oh, they're not in the video itself, they're in the description.
My final thoughts that didn't make it into the video. Okay, so you two have been under my radar forever now, and well, this video is, to put it bluntly, probably in my top 10 worst videos I've covered list if I ever decide to make one, specifically the top 5. You two are actually some of the most bland and uninteresting co-op partners I've ever seen. You two have barely any chemistry with each other and one of you is almost inaudible 90% of the time. I'm gonna try to address both of you, one after another. Starting with you, Melon Tart. Look, I get it, you're new. But this is really, really bad. You seem to not really understand how to construct a proper argument, so you either repeat yourself or take your target's jokes far too seriously. Again, you are new, so I won't go hard on you. With that being said, however, Foxwell, how in God's name have you been in the CC for about 3 years now and you still have a mic that makes me wanna hang myself? How do you get away with this? Your mic makes you incredibly hard to hear and YouTube subtitles don't even help when trying to decipher what you're saying. If it isn't your mic, just learn to enunciate, please. It'll make it easier to sit through your content. As for you two working together, I think what you guys are missing is chemistry. I wouldn't mind you two having silly banter and a few interjections. It'd certainly fix this poor excuse for a co-op. That's why I kept memming on it so much. Speaking of which, I can't be the only one who felt like this commentary had more of melon tart than Foxwell. When making a co-op commentary with someone, it is highly recommended that you and your partners have equal screen time. It'd make the video feel like a genuine collaborative effort. I want to see the both of you improve. It's just that right now you two seem to be in a very iffy place.
For the record, I have no idea why he thought it would be a good idea to read out all of Umbris's final thoughts in one massive block, as opposed to simply reading it in parts and cutting it away when he had something to say. You know, like it was a cutaway commentary or something. This is especially jarring considering it took Foxwell about 2 minutes to get through all of Umbris's final thoughts. Meaning that's 2 minutes without him saying anything.
We lacked chemistry, huh? That honestly feels a bit subjective. Or do the parts where she bites my head off and I react out of fear of her inflicting physical harm upon me not count? I don't know, felt like a passable dynamic to me.
Oh my god, I've never seen somebody contradict their own point this fast. So if you guys had chemistry or not is subjective, and then you go on to attempt to objectively disprove the notion that you didn't.
And who says co-op partners need an equal amount of screen time in a commentary? Not everyone in a collaborative commentary needs to speak in each and every interjection.
When did she say that you did? What she said was that each co-op partner should have a roughly equal amount of screen time and points to make, because a collaborative commentary is supposed to be, follow me on this, NaiTaiDai, I know this is a little complicated, a collaborative effort between two commentators. If one commentator is taking up significantly more screen time than the other, then what's the point of having another commentator in the video in the first place?
I've heard people say that a major flaw with your commentaries is that you tend to come off as condescending, and given the commentary you did on us, I can't say I disagree, especially after reading your final thoughts. Me and Melon don't dislike you as a person, but we also didn't appreciate how often it felt like you just wanted to be a prat towards us. This commentary pisses me off, but it doesn't piss me off as much as when I first watched it. Aside from all that, my advice would be to actually listen to what all degrees in the chain are saying, so you can properly argue their points. You seemed pretty confused several times in the commentary about what me, Melon, and Mystic were saying, and even put my words in Mystic's mouth there.
I did not appreciate how condescending you were, which was especially annoying because you misunderstood all of my very smart and genius points that I don't stand behind nor do I agree with and was not attempting to defend, hence why I was defending them against your arguments for the past 20 fucking minutes. With that said, I do understand why it is you misunderstood so many of my genius points which I don't stand behind. After all, you do need a very high IQ to understand NaiTaiDai. But remember guys, NaiTaiDai is against condescension, hence why he says things like this.
But, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just a big dumb idiot for responding to Mystic in a joking manner.
Hell, if I wanted to pull up him and say that, hey, you guys remember this clip I didn't show before? Well, let's do that. Here's a part of the video I cut out. Remember, from the man who is against being condescending. For context, this was just after he defended his point about that one Pokemon not looking like a Madagascar reject.
Now I know people are going to say, well then why did you give Melon a pass? Because she wasn't trying to make an actual point. Mystic, however, is. He's saying he perceives Twilight Design to be bad, and drawing a comparison. Okay? I should not have to explain this to commentators.
But remember, NaiTaiDai is against condescension. This video is fucking terrible. His points were utterly nonsensical and commonly based around cutting Umbris off at bad times, which, to be blunt, I consider a form of lying. NaiTaiDai lied in this video. There is no other way to look at it. And considering he opens the video by basically admitting everyone's going to hate it, and he's essentially doubling down on a video he won't even admit to doubling down on, I genuinely just don't even feel like he believes what he's saying. And that's honestly one of the things that's the most angering about this video. It doesn't even feel like he truly agrees with what he is telling us, yet he wants us to agree with it. That alone makes this one of the worst commentaries I've ever covered. Say what you want about all the other ones I've dealt with, at the very least I felt like they believed what they were telling me. I just don't get that feeling from this video. And if NaiTaiDai isn't even going to seriously believe what he's going to tell us, well, why should we? Good night and good luck.